So a peacekeeping mission for a post-war Gaza is starting to take shape, and a huge question is being asked everywhere, from Washington to Riyadh. Will Pakistan send its troops? Now, this isn't just another foreign policy decision for Islamabad. It's a massive dilemma, a real tug-of-war between decades of principle and the powerful pull of strategic interests.
So, why Pakistan? As the world looks to put together a stabilization force for what comes after the war in Gaza, you keep hearing one name pop up again and again. And it's not random. There are some very specific, very compelling reasons why Islamabad is seen as a top contender for this incredibly delicate mission.
Okay, let's break this down. On paper, Pakistan looks like the perfect candidate. I mean, first off, it has the largest and one of the most professional armies in the entire Muslim world. It's also the only Muslim-majority country with nuclear weapons, which gives it serious geopolitical weight. Plus, they have a long, successful history with UN peacekeeping missions. And, this is the big one, it's a trusted ally of both the United States and Saudi Arabia, who are the key players trying to make this whole thing happen.
Okay, so that all sounds logical, right? Well, here's where it gets complicated. That strategic logic slams right into a wall of deeply held national principle. You see, for as long as Pakistan has existed, its support for the Palestinian cause has been a core part of its identity.
And this isn't just talk or empty rhetoric. This is the country's official, locked-in policy, and it has been for decades. This support for a two-state solution, based on the borders from before 1967, is something they state over and over again in places like the UN. It's non-negotiable.
And this isn't just some high-level policy document. It's something that's literally woven into the identity of every single citizen. Just look at this single line, printed in every single Pakistani passport. It makes the country's refusal to recognize Israel a personal, tangible reality. So the very idea of their troops coordinating with Israeli forces, even indirectly, is just politically explosive.
All right, let's flip the coin and look at the other side of this dilemma. Because while principle is powerful, so are the cold, hard realities of geopolitics and economics. And those forces are pulling Pakistan in a very, very different direction.
Look, Pakistan's two most critical friendships are with the United States and Saudi Arabia. You can't overstate this. The relationship with Washington has been getting much warmer lately. And the bond with Riyadh, it's not just close, it's now cemented by a brand new Strategic Mutual Defense Agreement, which is basically a pact to have each other's backs militarily. Add to that a deep economic dependence that, frankly, Pakistan cannot afford to risk.
And you gotta understand, this isn't a one-way street. Pakistan sends its military expertise and its highly trained soldiers to help its Gulf allies. But in return, it gets more than just money, which is vital, of course. It gets these incredible strategic opportunities. I mean, think about it. They get access to cutting-edge Western military gear. They even get to test their jets against the exact same kind of advanced French Rafale fighters that their main rival, India, uses. That's an invaluable advantage.
You know, this whole dilemma, this tug-of-war between doing what you say you believe in and doing what's strategically smart, it's not new for Pakistan. Not at all. In fact, if you look back through their history, there's a pretty clear pattern of practical needs winning out over the public rhetoric of solidarity.
Let's just take a quick trip back in time. Think back to 1970. Pakistani forces actually helped Jordan fight against the PLO. Fast forward to the 80s, and they sent a whole division of troops to protect the Saudi kingdom. Then, of course, after 9/11, they became a crucial ally in the war on terror, even though many at home were against it. And just recently, they voted for that US-written UN resolution on Gaza, admitting they had issues with it. The pattern here is pretty clear, right? When push comes to shove, strategic necessity has often won the day. So all of that history brings us to today, and to the really intense, high-stakes debate that's raging inside Pakistan right now. In the government, in the military, everywhere. The country is truly split on what to prioritize, its long-held principles or its crucial strategic interests.
So, should Pakistan join the Gaza mission? Man, this question has just set off a firestorm inside the country, and you've got really smart, really experienced people on completely opposite sides of the argument. On the one hand, you have top officials like the defense minister here, who are framing this as a point of national pride. They see it as a duty to step up, help stabilize a terrible situation, and bring in humanitarian aid.
And backing up that view, you have these veteran diplomats. Their argument is basically, look, is this plan perfect? No, of course not. But it's the only realistic option on the table to actually end the suffering in Gaza. Sometimes you have to be pragmatic.
But the pushback is just as strong, if not stronger. You have figures like former Ambassador Maliha Lodi making a powerful point. She's basically saying, hold on a second, this isn't a UN mission. This is a US-led plan,
And by joining it, we're helping to legitimize a process that weakens the very international system we claim to support.
And then you get the military perspective from retired generals. They're warning that this is a strategic contradiction. And what does that mean? It means that any kind of cooperation, even indirect, with Israel would cause a massive backlash at home. People would lose trust in the army, there would be protests, it could literally weaken the country from the inside out. So, with these deep divisions and massive risks on both sides, where do they go from here? I mean, how do you even make a decision when either path could lead to its own kind of crisis?
Well, a decision isn't going to happen overnight. There's a process. First, they're waiting to get all the details straight. What exactly is the mission? What are the rules of engagement? Then, this whole thing has to be debated out in the open, in Parliament and with the top security officials. They'll also be talking constantly with their allies, especially Saudi Arabia and Turkey. And only then, after all that, can they even begin to weigh the enormous risks against the potential gain. So, what this all boils down to is that this whole Gaza question has become way more than just a foreign policy issue. It's a test case for Pakistan's very identity, shining a bright light on this unresolved conflict between the calculations of the powerful and the deeply held principles of the public.
And this is why it's so important, not just for Pakistan, but for the rest of us watching. The choice they make is going to send a powerful signal to the world and, more importantly, to its own people. It's going to answer a fundamental question. Is Pakistan's foreign policy driven by moral conviction, or is it driven by the pragmatic and often hidden interests of its elite?
It's an incredible gamble, with alliances, domestic stability, and national identity all on the line. As Pakistan stands at this historic crossroads, the choice it makes won't just be about policy. In a way, it's going to reveal the very soul of the nation.